Hey y'all, welcome back to my live broadcast. I'm Shanta Prince and I work with women coaches and I help them to build their personal brands, create their high ticket offer, and then I teach them how to sell those offers. Today I want to talk about 8 ways to differentiate your personal brand because I feel like differentiation is one of the most difficult things to do when you're starting out and when you're looking to build a brand and really build a great business reputation for yourself. And I think it's because so many people are talking about the same thing. So, for example, like I always tell the story about how I have a couple of friends who also teach on branding, maybe more than a couple, maybe like 4 or 5 of my friends also teach about branding. And so because of that, we all have to differentiate ourselves because how are people going to choose who they need to work who they need to work with. And so you may have heard me say this before that I don't want to work with anybody who I'm not called to work with. I want to work with the people who I'm called to work with. And so it's really important to differentiate yourself so that you can stand out. So the people who are called to you can identify you as the person that they need to work with. And so, even though I have a few friends who teach about branding and marketing and sales, we all have different ways of doing that. And I'm going to talk about the ways that we're all different when I'm using my friends as an example, but also how you can differentiate yourself in a market when it comes to people who talk about the same thing you talk about, who teach similar things that you teach. But let me start by saying this. I say this all the time that nobody can do what you do the way you do it. And so that's one thing to always remember when you're questioning, well, should I still do this or should I still pursue this? Nobody can do what you do the way you do it. I see my lash, one of my lashes is doing its own thing. So just ignore my eyelashes, y'all. But anyway, so let's dive into these 8 different ways to differentiate your personal brand. So I'm looking down at my notes. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes so I can stay on track. So the first thing that I want to talk about when it comes to differentiating your personal brand is number one, your gifts. Your gifts, using your gifts is one of the most powerful ways to differentiate your personal brand because your gifts are none like they're not like anybody else's gifts. And there's some things that you're gifted at doing that are amazing, and those gifts cannot be copied. Okay. And so when you use your gifts, those gifts can't be replicated. And using your gifts is one way to make yourself unique and make yourself stand out. So for me, for example, some of the things I'm really gifted at is the number one way that I make my money is by helping people to translate their expertise and their gifts into a sellable package and into an influential brand. So that's just one thing that I do very well is I can take what the person is trying to do or trying to articulate and translate it for them so that when they put it out in the marketplace, it looks amazing, it sounds amazing, and it represents who they are. So using your gifts is so important. And I want to say this because I feel like it's really easy to look at the gurus and look at what other people are doing, and you kind of lose a sense of who you are, and you kind of lose track of how amazing God made you because you're so busy trying to see what other people are doing and how they're doing it, and you're trying to follow it their way, and it's just not working. And so if you're, if you are one of those people where you're like, listen, I really want to step out into the marketplace. I really want to start taking my brand to the next level and start getting clients. I would encourage you to start with the things that you're brilliant at doing, the gifts, the God-given gifts that you already have. I believe that the way that God designed us is that everything that is in us, it is everything that we're ever going to be is already in us. So it's already in you. You just got to tap into it. And the other thing that I believe is that whatever you focus on will grow. So if you focus on your business and you focus on using your gifts, it's only going to magnify. It's only going to grow. And so think about those things that you're great at doing and think about how you can bring that into your business, how you can pull that into your business and really show up as as one of a kind. So the second thing is your personality. Your personality also is a powerful way to differentiate your personal brand. And this is important because a lot of people feel like they're afraid to show their personality. And I know this because I work with so many women, and they're afraid to show their personality. They're afraid to show who they really are. And there's reasons for that, because we all go through things as women. We all go through things in life that try to steal our voice, and situations that try to dim our light. And it's always a battle, right? It's always a battle to be true to who God designed you to be. And some women are just afraid to show their true personality. And the thing is, when your audience sees who you really are, they'll fall in love with you just because of who you are. And if they don't fall in love with you, that's okay. It just means that you're not called to that person, right? But the people you're called to, I promise you, they will fall in love with your personality. One of my clients is, she's very well spoken. She writes well. She's very studious, but she also has an amazing sense of humor. And it's so funny to just see her being herself. And if you only knew her from what she talked about in her live videos, and what she wrote about in her blog, you would never realize how funny she actually is. But she has a brilliant sense of humor. And that's just a part of her personality that makes me so happy to see her sharing that on a regular basis. So your personality is important, because people connect with you based on your personality. And so if you even the things that you think people wouldn't be interested in, the things that you think people wouldn't want to know about you, they do, right? They do want to know those things. So don't be afraid to show your personality. Number 3, the third way to differentiate your personal brand is your perspective. Your perspective on things is important to your audience. They want to know what you think about certain things. For example, when artificial intelligence first started really emerging, well, artificial intelligence has always been on the scene. It's just that now regular people like you and I have access to it now. So that's why the craze has been it has been awesome, with the attention and the craze around artificial intelligence. But it has been around for a very, very long time. And so when it first came out, like, people wanted to know, okay, well, okay, are we using AI? Is it bad? Is it good? And so for some people are just a straight no, like, AI is not good. You shouldn't use it. For me, I think that it's a beautiful tool to use, as long as you don't try to use it to replace you, or as long as you don't become lazy with it. What I mean by lazy is just taking things and just using it directly as it is. I think the way that I teach my clients how to use AI is, I teach them how to use it to come alongside what they're already doing, but not to replace them or not to be lazy with it. But my clients understand marketing. They understand enough about AI to know how to use it to help them be more efficient, but not to replace themselves. So that's a perspective that I have that people were interested in knowing. And so you have perspectives that people are interested in knowing, even if it goes against the grain. As a matter of fact, if it goes against the grain, that's actually a great idea for you to share it, because there are always going to be people who are drawn to you because of how you think. If there's something that's going on in your industry or in your niche that you do not agree with, then by all means talk about it, share it, because you're going to find people who agree with you. You're going to find people who don't agree with you. But the people who do agree with you, they're going to become brand fans, because they'll be super excited that somebody, hey, Renee, they'll be super, hey, look, it's better late than never. I tell you that. They'll be super excited to know that there's someone out there who thinks like how they think. And so when you share your perspective, you got to share your perspective with boldness. And it's okay if it's a little bit polarizing, meaning it's something that stirs people up. It happens sometimes. And everybody has an opinion, right? So there are always going to be people who disagree with you. Always going to be people who don't think that it should be done the way that you're doing it. But that should not stop you, because your audience is going to appreciate you for how you do things in a way you do things. So it's okay to have your own style. There's somebody who absolutely is looking for you and how you do things. So far we talked about the 8 ways to differentiate your personal brand. We talked about number 1, your gifts. We talked about your personality, and we just talked about your perspective. Now let's move on to the 4th way you can differentiate your personal brand, and that is your message. Your message to your audience. You have to really think about, what is your message. I will tell you that when I was getting my coaching certification, we talked about how your most powerful messages come out of your life. We call them life messages. Your most powerful messages come out of your life. And it makes you an amazing teacher, an amazing coach, an amazing consultant, because You're speaking from experience. And when you speak from experience, you speak with conviction. And when you speak with conviction, then that right there pulls people in. People buy into your vision and they buy into what you're talking about when you speak with conviction. And so when you speak about the stuff that you know about, you can speak about it with certainty and with conviction. So think about your message to your audience. So for example, my message to my audience is that you can be purposeful and you can be profitable. And I back that message up because I teach women how to use their gifts and their expertise and information that they already know, and how to build an entire business around that. So they don't have to be anybody who they're not. They can just be their self, be themselves, be who God has designed them to be, and they can use their gifts and their expertise and everything that God has put on the inside of them, and they can build an entire business around that. So purposeful and profitable. Okay. So that is my message to my audience. So what is your message to your audience? Now, we can talk about the same things, we can teach similar topics, but we may have a different message. And your message is what pulls people in, especially when it's a very simple message and it's a clear message and it's simple, easy to grab a hold of. Any vision that's plain, any vision that's clear, it makes it easy for people to grab a hold of that vision because they can understand it. It resonates with them. So think about, what is your message? Your message also, your message will show up in everything that you do. Your message will be an underlying theme in everything that you do for your brand. So think about, what do you want to say to the world? What is your message to your audience? Okay. So number 5, the 5th way to differentiate your personal brand is with your audience. So everybody that, so for example, I told you I have 4, let me just count them because I have 2, 3. So I have 4, I know 4 people, 4 friends who we all teach about branding. And the thing is, we really have different audiences. Even though we're women of faith, we have different audiences. One of my friends, she targets a different audience than what I'm targeting. So even though we talk about similar things, we have different gifts. We definitely have different personalities. We have different perspectives about things. Our messaging is different, and so we also have a different audience that we're targeting. That can make all the difference, right? And so this is why you don't have to worry about feeling intimidated or feeling threatened if somebody is talking about the same thing you're talking about. Listen, there's enough space for all of us to be successful. But the thing is, there's so many things about you that are different, that if you leverage those things, your audience will see you as the clear choice, right? The thing is, sometimes we don't know how to leverage those things that make us unique. So whoever you're targeting, it may be different from somebody else who's talking about the same thing. So you got to be clear on your audience and who you're targeting. So for example, I know a gentleman who he works strictly with veterans. He targets veterans who want to start their coaching business. Now, I happen to be a veteran, and I also teach people how to start their coaching businesses, but I don't specifically target veterans. And that's like, his audience is just, he works with men, women, men and women veterans from all different walks of life. And so even though he teaches on branding, his audience is totally different from my audience. And so that's why, you guys, there's so much room for success, because usually the people you're talking, those are the people who God has called you to serve. So if you're targeting a specific group, then okay, this is a specific group of people that I am called to serve. And so all of your marketing will be designed for that specific audience, for that specific ideal client in that audience. And so think about who your audience is, and your audience is gonna determine your content, your messaging, your offers, all of those things. That's why it's so hard to compare your offers and your now I do talk about comparing offers just to kind of see what's out there, but at the same time, it's still difficult to compare, especially the offers that I create. When I create offers for my clients, I really dig into all of these things that I'm talking to you about. Like, I take into account their gifts, their personality, their perspective on things, and I help them to design an offer that's totally for them. So no 2 offers that I create are ever the same, because that offer is tailored to the client that I'm designing it for. And so I take into all of the, okay, Renee, have a great one. See you next week. So I take all of these things into account when I'm creating their offer. And so it is also important to consider how you're designing your offer based on your audience. If you're designing an offer for stay-at-home moms, that offer would look different from an offer on a similar topic, but for women who are in corporate. So you got to think about who your audience is, who your ideal client is. The sixth way to differentiate your personal brand is your style of delivery. How you teach, how you get your content out there, how you engage with your audience. That makes a difference for a lot of people. So for example, sometimes depending on what I'm doing, sometimes I might need a boot camp style of a teacher, right? If I'm working out, or if I'm hiring somebody to for my fitness purposes, and somebody to like a personal trainer, I might need a boot camp style person. I need somebody to yell at me when I'm getting tired, right? So, but then for some people, maybe they need like the best friend type of personal trainer, someone to come alongside you and say, "You got this, girl. You can do this." Maybe they need that style. But I had one client who, when I first started working with her, she said to me, "My friends have told me that my delivery is too harsh." She was like, "Do you think I need to change that?" And I'm like, "No, because it's possible that your clients may need that. Your clients may be the kind of people who need the cold hard truth. They need to give them the straight up, right? They don't need you to beat around the bush. They don't need you to sugarcoat it. They need you to just give it to them like it is, right? And I'm kind of like that in a lot of instances too. Don't look, just tell me what it is, right? You don't have to beat around the bush. Just give me the cold hard truth. And so she was thinking about, well, maybe I need to change up my style. No, you don't, right? Because your people are going to love you for that. There are so many people right now that I see on a regular basis, influencers, and they have that type of personality where they just, as a matter of fact, I know of a lady right now that I see her on TikTok all the time, and she just tells people when they ask questions on her live, she just tells them like straight up, like she does fitness and weight loss and things like that, and she just tells people like straight. Even though I feel like when a person is trying to lose weight, they may be a little bit sensitive, but she doesn't sugarcoat anything. She just gives it to them cold and hard. And guess what? Her audience appreciates that about her. And they know when they ask her questions, they already know. When they ask her a question, they know how the answer is going to be delivered. So your style of delivery could be attractive. It will be attractive to your audience as well. So the way you do it is the way that you do it. Okay. And number seven, the seventh way to differentiate your personal brand is with your expertise. Okay. So now earlier we talked about gifts, the things that you're naturally gifted at, but also your expertise, the stuff that the stuff that you have experienced can change the game for your clients. For example, one of the things that I have expertise around is information technology. So when I was in the Navy, I was in IT for 10 years. I also have 2 degrees in computer studies. So my technical game is pretty tight. So when it comes to building funnels and setting up email lists and all of those things are very easy for me. And so because of that, I can teach my clients how to set their email list up, how to build funnels. As a matter of fact, I just recently built 2 funnels for two clients. And so I did that because I knew that it's something that they needed to get done. It's something that was a struggle for them. So I offered the service to them and ended up building 2 funnels for 2 clients. So that's just my expertise that goes into helping my clients to be great. So what have you experienced? What type of knowledge do you have? Whether it's something that you learned from corporate or something that you learned from school, it doesn't have to exactly pour into exactly translate into what you're doing, but somehow it's valuable to what you're doing now. So, for example, I have another degree in psychology, and when I studied psychology, I was interested in how people think, like how people's minds work, how the brain works, and so got a degree in psychology, but that goes into how I write for my clients. And I didn't realize it was something that I was already good at writing, but when I my expertise in psychology helps me to understand how to write better for my clients. So help understanding how people think and how the mind works, I can easily help my clients to shift their offers, pivot their copy and their content, because I already understand how people think. So I write a certain way because I know how people think. It helps me to write amazing copy for my client. So what kind of expertise do you have that you can pull into what you're doing and how you're serving your clients? That's another thing that's going to set you apart. I have expertise that I gained from the Navy. I have expertise that I gained from working a federal job. I have expertise that I gained from my degrees. And so all of that goes into how I serve my clients, and it also differentiates me in the marketplace, because you can't find too many strategists who can write copy, who can build funnels, who can create offers, who can teach you sales. So usually if you find somebody, they're specialized in maybe one thing, like, writing copy, or maybe they're really great at creating offers. My clients, they get like a one-stop shop because I can do all of those things. It's just a part of the expertise that I've gained. Okay. And then finally, the eighth way you can differentiate your personal brand is through your story. Your story is something that you have that nobody else has, right? Nobody else has the same story as you. No one else has the exact same upbringing, the exact same experiences that you have. And so when you tell your story about how you got to where you are, and if you have stories around why you do things the way that you do, stories are so powerful because people connect with what they can understand, and we understand stories very well. So if you tell me a story, listen, I may not remember everything that happened, but I will remember the story that you told. So stories are very powerful, and you think about how you tell your brand story, that matters as well. And I do teach on that, how to tell your brand story. So your brand story is a part of your brand, and that's another thing that nobody can copy, right? Nobody can authentically copy your story. And I will tell you that stories sell. You can sell a whole offer, a whole anything. You can promote your freebie, whatever you want, by telling stories. So you got to learn how to tell your brand story, not just your brand story, but any story around your brand. You got to learn how to tell stories. But one thing is for sure, it's gonna be very difficult for to find anybody who has the exact same stories as you, if not impossible. So your brand story is a powerful way to differentiate yourself. So when I tell my brand story, I talk about how I was in the Navy and I decided I was going to get out of the Navy. And then when I got out of the Navy, I struggled because I didn't know who I was without my uniform. And then I realized that I really enjoy teaching. And so when I realized that I enjoy teaching, y'all, I didn't even know the stuff that I liked, right? So finding out that I enjoy teaching was huge, because I was just kind of disconnected from myself because I was just so busy focusing on what the Navy was doing in the Navy's mission, that I kind of lost a sense of who I was. And so, I really got excited when I discovered that I enjoyed teaching. And then the other thing was, when I realized that, when I figured that out, I was like, okay, now how do I keep doing this? Like, since I know that I love teaching, how do I continue to teach, and how do I make a living? Because now I'm at a point where I either have to go get a job, or I got to figure out how to make this teaching thing work, right? And so I figured out how to make money teaching, which is what I enjoy doing. And now I help other women to do the same thing. So that was my brand story in like a nutshell, the quick 2-minute version. But when you tell your brand story, guess what? People resonate with that. They see themselves in your story. So if you need help telling your brand story, just send me a DM. We can, I can chat with you through some things and help you put some components of your brand story together, because some people feel like they don't have a story to tell. But let me tell you, everybody has a story to tell. And if you're struggling with that, just shoot me a quick DM and say, hey, I'm struggling with that story thing that you talked about, and I can help you brainstorm some ideas and chat with you about some things for your story and how to make it unique and powerful. All right, you guys, that was 8 ways to differentiate your personal brand. This has been a beautiful time. It's another beautiful Thursday in God's great kingdom. And next week, I'll be coming back to you again at the same time in the same place. I hope you have a wonderful Thursday and a beautiful weekend, and I'll be seeing y'all again soon. Have a beautiful Thursday and a great weekend.